Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I am here with Andrew Sampson, who is a developer on the Rainway app. Actually, I should probably ask you that, Andrew. Are you like, do you have a title for developer? Or are you like
Oh,
lead developer?
I'm
Or...
the CEO of the company.
Oh, okay then. That makes it easier. Good. You're like the guy up top then. Very good. CEO of the company. That's awesome. Now, I have been talking about the Rainway application for a little while now because I'm a big fan of like the streaming services because I think there is really a big future for them going forward as the internet progresses like around the world and latency starts to diminish. I think a lot of people will look to these kind of services to, I guess, be really important since you don't need to, you can have one system and play it on multiple devices, even away from home. So would you be able to explain a little bit about the Rainway application? Because I have explained it on a lot of videos, but there are a lot of people who are still a little unclear as to what it is.
Yeah, so Rainway, from a design standpoint, we want to make it easy for people to take the games they already own on their PC, so like Steam or Origin, and then immediately be able to play them on other devices. So one of the things that we saw wrong with current remote game streaming applications is that they're basically glorified remote desktop apps. You have to manually start your games, and you see your Windows desktop and all of that, and sometimes the latency isn't all that good. We wanted to create a solution that felt like a gaming platform rather than like someone's, spare thought at a tech meeting.
Oh, that's cool. So this is going to be kind of like, I guess, kind of like think of like Steam Big Picture, how they put that in so that you didn't have to see your desktop and everything, and you could kind of have like an app. Oh, that's see, I like that because when I use stuff like OnLive or Gaikai, it was kind of launched in like a browser, and then you had to do stuff that looked like a computer when you're trying to kind of navigate with a controller. That's good. See, I wasn't sure if it was going to be like an application, like a closed application like that. I like that a lot more.
Yeah, Rainway will scan your computer for all the games you have installed from various platforms, and then you'll get a nice like Netflix-like interface of all your games, and then you just hover over the one you want to play, and you can play it.
That is all okay. That sounds a lot better than what I might have thought it would have been before, where it was like a browser. That's great. And just to be clear to a lot of the people out there, you do need a computer of some kind that at least has the strength to play the game. Like you're not just this application is going to make your Switch or your iPhone or wherever else it's going to just magically play the game. You still need like a decent rig at home to play some of the bigger games. Like you showed Witcher 3, Andrew, on the Switch, for example. The Switch wasn't actually playing that. It was streaming from a remote location.
Correct. Yeah, you need a PC that can actually play the game to then stream the game. But we've been spending a lot of time on our tech, ensuring that even people with weaker computers are going to be able to use this. So you don't need a super rig to take advantage of the technology.
Right, but like you're saying, like, so let's say you want to play Undertale, for example, on the Switch. Not available on the Switch, just as an example. But your computer can play it, even if it's a weaker one because it's Undertale, and then you can play it then on your Switch or your any devices that support it, is what you're saying, right?
You just install Rainway on your computer, and then you'll be able to take advantage of it.
That's way better. Back in the day, we used to use things like TeamSpeak to try to make all that happen, and it was one of the worst experiences ever. So that's great. I like that. So it's going to be more of a mainstream type service. That's awesome. I like that idea.
And in our strategy to build this platform into something really big, certainly we're going to pursue remote computers, so you can rent a computer from us. You don't even need to own one at that time.
Oh, that's a great idea too. So you can have you'll have almost like server-side computer set up with video cards and everything that people can just like use it for time, for example.
Yep.
That's a good idea. Now let me ask you down from there. Were you inspired by any previous streaming services for Rainway? Like I remember OnLive heavily back in the day because when that first came around, I thought it was the most amazing idea. But it didn't really deliver as well as I thought it could have. Same with Gaikai, which eventually got purchased, I believe, by Sony, and they used kind of that for their PlayStation Now service, sort of. Did you get any ideas from those, and were you trying to improve them to make Rainway, I guess, a better application overall?
Personally, I thought online was like ahead of its time. It came way too early. The market just wasn't ready from a technical standpoint, but I loved OnLive and the concept of it. But really what inspired me to create Rainway was my own remote desktop application. I made something called Altarius almost 2 years ago now that was basically we wanted to change like stuff like TeamViewer we thought was too clunky and very outdated. So we made a remote desktop application that worked in your web browser, and you could get 60 frames per second there, and you could just instantly go to your computer from any browser. And that was the goal. And then we realized, well, hey, this streaming tech is really fast. and we could probably get the latency a lot lower. And so we ended up taking that and then pivoting over to Rainway and creating this out.
Wow. Okay. So this was wow. So this kind of came from an idea and almost a service you were building up before, or at least an application. That's good. So you have experience, heavy experience in doing this then.
Yeah, I have learned a lot about remote desktop applications over the last 3 years.
Wow, okay. That's good. That's good. Actually, since you just spoke of latency, if you don't mind, I want to jump down to that bottom question. Like I said, I've been a big fan of the streaming games, but the issue for me was always latency. Like when On Live came out, as you kind of alluded to, the market wasn't there for it yet because internet was still kind of a little behind, right? You would play it and you get like 200 millisecond like ping most times, and it felt so delayed when you're using it. What's the average latency we're talking here in I guess milliseconds you would say for Rainway?
So in our testing, we're not really seeing anything over 25 to 30 milliseconds.
Wow.
That's on a stable connection, mind you. But so when we're testing, we're using like 5 gigahertz routers, and we're using or Ethernet connections, and the games we're running on mid-range PCs. We don't like testing on like super high end, and so we're basically seeing, can Rainway keep up the encoding speed while it's playing the game? We also do a lot of stuff under the hood to make sure that the input that you're putting in matches the frames that are coming back. So we're really trying to keep input latency as low as possible.
Let me ask you real quick, just as a side, what video cards are you using in those mid-range towers, just in case anyone has any, try to get that perspective?
The tower that we test primarily with is a 480 RX, and we also have we also have another tower with a GTX 970.
Yeah, that's actually the card I have in this computer down here. Yeah, okay, good. It's a good card. That is definitely more of a mid-range card now. Like the 970 I remember used a little while ago for like $120. So yeah, that would be perfectly mid-range right there. And if you're getting good performance out of that, then honestly, people can build a computer that they can use at an affordable rate. Then that's good.
And Rainway is infinitely configurable. So I have 2 GPUs in my PC, and I also have an Intel CPU. And with Rainway, I can say, okay, I want to use my primary GPU to encode, or I want to use my secondary GPU to encode while the main GPU plays the game. Or if you're like most people, you're going to have one primary GPU and you're probably going to run the game at max settings, and that kind of taxes the hardware. So then you can tell Rainway to use, say, Intel has QuickSync on the CPU, and you can tell Rainway to use that instead. So now your GPU isn't taxed by encoding the stream as well.
Wow, okay, that's interesting. So you could have multiple GPUs just to help out. Just to help out. That's not a bad idea either. That's actually pretty cool.
And with the frame rate being configurable and the bit rate and the resolution, we really want to give users the ability to make sure that their stream is stable and not lock them into some preset notion of what we think is stable.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wow. That's interesting. So you have the multiple GPU setup. I didn't even think of that. That's actually a really good idea. Huh. Now, Andrew, you said you've seen some of my channel. You may realize that I do go into kind of the business aspects of things like game companies and stuff like that. And one of the things I noticed you said with Rainway is that it would be free. That's correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, is there kind of a strategy in place to monetize going forward in any way, just to, I guess, to bring in money for the service?
We do plan to monetize eventually with extra features, so paid subscriptions to get access to stuff like 4K streaming, or we're still debating if we're going to have ads or not. Okay. This is something that's very important to me, and I truly do believe that software for the user should be free. No one should have to pay to access something. So we're still figuring out the strategy of how we're going to monetize before launch.
You mentioned the server side game. Computers, would that be a way maybe you'd think about renting those out over for time?
Yeah, that would be a paid monetization strategy.
So that makes sense. Okay, yeah, very good, very good. So you're still kind of working on the monetization of the service overall.
Yeah, really, right now our focus is trying to build the best software possible. Sure. Money can come later.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, as long as you have a good product, right? Yeah, that's good news, man. And then we talked about that. People keep asking this as well in the comments, why I included it. Minimum requirements to use Rainway. You said that you can kind of use it on lower machines. Like how low are we talking here for the minimum requirements?
The worst PC we've tested it on was just a PC with an i5 in it and no GPU, and it had 4 gigs of RAM, and Rainway was able to do 720p at 60 FPS.
Wow, so you don't even need a video card technically to bring over some of those indie games from the Steam library, for example.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, there's some good indie games on Steam that aren't available anywhere else. So that's very interesting, I think, to a lot of people, even if you don't have a video card. Like I said, Undertale, for example, you could just move that right over to another system that doesn't support it in its closed operating system. That's
Yeah. And this was a pretty old i5, so I'm sure even with like a newer one, you might be able to do 1080 on
Oh
one.
wow, are we talking like a 2500?
God, this thing was from years ago. I can't even
Oh man,
remember.
I wonder if that's like a 630 or something.
Yeah.
Jeez, wow, that is, yeah, it's pretty old. Okay, so let's talk about what a lot of people have been interested in. Now, you have not been shy about posting videos, pictures, anything with the Switch playing these games running Rainway, which I assume, just from the color of the Switch and everything, that's a dev kit Switch, I assume, right? Because you get so many people in the comments who are like, how do I get my Switch to do that, right?
Actually, that is a production Switch.
Wow. Okay, that is a production Switch. Wow. Okay. See, I was kind of assuming that was a dev kit Switch. Okay, a production Switch. Very good. Now, so how are the talks going with Nintendo? Because that's what a lot of people ask. They ask in every one of your comments, right? Anything you put out, they're always like, is this actually coming to the Switch? Is this happening? Where are you in talks with Nintendo? All that stuff. Now, based on what you're allowed to share with us, can you give us an idea of I guess the possibility of it showing up on the Switch?
Sure. So when I initially wanted to bring Rainway to the Switch, it was something that I didn't expect to blow up in popularity overnight just by mentioning it offhand. I didn't think too much into what I was saying. But since day one, we've been talking to Nintendo and we've been going back and forth. And at this point, we're just waiting on our yes or no.
Wow. Okay. So you're right there. Then it runs on the Switch. Nintendo knows it runs on the Switch, and you're just waiting for them to get back to you and say yes, you can put it here, or no, you can't put it on here.
And they're well aware how much people want this.
Oh wow, they are. Okay, so they've at least made a passing mention that they understand that the fans are very interested in this idea.
Yeah. From
Cool.
our understanding, a lot of people at Nintendo have been like brought in on Rainway's discussion.
Whoa, okay, so there are some serious talks. I've had discussions with people on our podcasts, just in general on different news segments about Rainway, and I've kind of given the pros and cons on Nintendo's side. It sounds like if they're bringing more people in, they are trying to discuss those same things and figure out if it makes sense on their system either way. But the fact that they're talking about it as heavily is actually probably a good thing. That's great.
Yeah, personally, I believe that we'll probably see Rainway on the Switch around the same time that apps like Netflix get announced.
Okay, yeah, because they did make mention that they are really focusing heavily on their first-party games right now, and the fact that Netflix isn't even on there is telling at that point.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think I'm more important than Netflix, but surely when those apps get announced and they're going to come to the Switch, you can expect Rainway to come to the Switch.
Oh, great. I mean, the functionality is amazing with the Switch and Rainway. You know, that would be so cool, and I think that's why so many people are interested in it, like you said. I believe you did like an AMA over on their Reddit, and people were really interested in that. So there is a lot of curiosity around Rainway on the Switch, and you even showed it working with the Joy-Cons, right?
Correct. Yeah, I was playing Half-Life 2. Though one thing I should point out, there was actually a really big bug in that video that I didn't notice until afterwards. I was having to press buttons twice because our controller input was a little buggy. So people were thinking that was a latency issue. That was more so just a code issue.
Okay. So you had to press them twice, and that was something you were kind of working out with the coding?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now, I guess one of my last questions is, are you going to be able to customize buttons, on one side or the other? So, like, if you're on, let's say you are playing on the Switch, can you move like the X button to be like left click or something like that?
Well, actually, when you're playing, say, using the Switch or using any controller on the remote client, that gets mapped directly to an Xbox controller that we virtually install on your computer. So you don't even need to own a physical controller on the other end, because we just create a virtual one, and then the input can be mapped one-on-one.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty interesting. That's actually a really cool idea. So everything is mapped to an Xbox controller, because obviously, if you're playing on like Windows 10, it's pretty much native to Windows 10 at this point. That is a good idea.
There hasn't really been any PC game in the last 6 years that hasn't supported Xbox controllers.
Yeah. I mean, Steam even pretty much supports it natively, along with I think even PS4 and Steam controllers. So that makes a lot of sense. As long as you're running Windows on your side, which you were saying you're going to have computers set up, I assume, with Windows 10. It'll run fine.
Yeah. In terms of minimum system requirements, Windows 10 is a requirement to host Rainway.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, we don't believe in backwards compatibility. We don't like supporting legacy software like Windows 7. So we always just do the latest tech.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. So you can't run it on Windows XP then?
No.
All right. So that's those were all my questions, Andrew. Thank you. Was there anything that you wanted to, I guess, say to any of the gamers out there, or anyone who is looking at Rainway? Was there any final thoughts or anything you wanted to share with them?
If anyone's going to be at AWA this year, come find us and you can play Rainway.
Oh wow. Where's AWA?
Anime Week in Atlanta.
See, that's too far from me. When is that? Is that soon or?
That is September 30th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's not too. Okay, yes, there you go. If you're in the Atlanta area, stop by AWA and check out Rainway and let us know how it works and how it plays. Because I'm very curious myself, Andrew, to see how this all works out. And I'm, like I said, I'm a big fan of the streaming services. I would love to see them take off. And honestly, looking at Rainway and the interest around it, I think you have something here. So this could be really cool to see.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for spending the time with me today. And I hope, like I said, I hope everything works out for you with Rainway. I will definitely be checking out whenever it's ready to go, whether it's on the computer or the Xbox, the Switch, wherever. I'll try it out just to see how everything is.
We're chugging along till November 25th.
November 25th, dude. I'll be checking it out then. Like I said, I'll install it on my computer here, and then I'll run upstairs with my PS4 or something, or whatever system it's on. So cool, man. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.